During the main event of UFC 321, Aspinall defended his heavyweight title, but the fight ended prematurely in the first round after Gaines' fingers made contact with both of Aspinall's eyes, leaving him unable to continue, and the bout ruled a no contest. The injury was severe. Aspinall himself angrily stated, "I've just got fing poked knuckle deep in the eyeball. What am I supposed to do about it? I didn't do the fing poke. I can't see." Some emphasize the need for rule changes around eye pokes. It should be an instant point deduction for an eye poke, intentional or not, and a DQ if it ends the contest. Even high-profile John Jones took a jab at Aspinall by changing his social media avatar to a duck with an eye patch, which Aspinall had the troll coming long before the fight. Aspinall publicly pushed for a matchup with Jones, his fans repeatedly suggesting that Jones was avoiding him, a narrative that irritated Jones and his fan base. So when Aspinall's bout ended in a no contest due to a serious eye poke, Jones seized the moment to troll him aggressively, appearing at a weigh-in on a one-eyed horse, and making sly comments questioning Aspinall's toughness. This all interesting cause. John Jones is known as the godfather of eye poking. John Jones has long been criticized for repeatedly poking his opponents in the eye during fights. He denied doing it maliciously. UFC president Dana White also called out the tactic, saying that opening of the hands and putting hands on the face needs to stop. Over the years, multiple fighters raised concerns about Jones's reachy style, which involves pawing with an open hand and occasionally leading to eye poke fouls. In response to the controversy, Jones has said he recognizes the issue and has tried to correct it, though he maintains it's instinctual rather than intentionally dirty. During the chaos, Dana White made few vague public comments created a lot of confusion because they were vague enough that many listeners interpreted them as hinting that Tom Aspinall might have overreacted. Dana White made a remark suggesting that Cyril Gane had Tom Aspinall bloodied up, and that Tom didn't want to continue. Comments that many fans interpreted as the moment Dana unintentionally ignited the backlash against his own interim heavyweight champion. Even though the fight ended because of a double eye poke, not because Aspinall was overwhelmed or beaten up by Gane, Dana's wording blurred the lines between what actually happened and how the situation looked in real time. By framing it as if Gane had inflicted visible damage and implying that Aspinall chose to stop rather than being medically pulled, White planted the seed for narratives questioning Tom's toughness or willingness to push through adversity. In the wake of the controversial, Tom Aspinall made it clear that his relationship with UFC president Dana White hasn't been close, noting in an interview that "me and Dana don't really speak like that anyway. Ever." When discussing White's post-fight comments and the broader criticism of how the situation was handled, Aspinall expressed frustration that White had publicly shared medical updates and framed the stoppage in ways that didn't line up with the actual severity of his injury, even though he has suffered significant eye trauma and ongoing vision problems as a result of the poke. Then again, maybe Dana was just chatting, considering he was the one vouching for Tom months prior to facing Jones for the heavyweight title. Dana White had been publicly invested in making the biggest fight possible in the UFC heavyweight division by pushing for a unification bout between Tom Aspinall and John Jones. Dana repeatedly stated that the long-anticipated matchup was the fight he wanted to make, and that he had been working toward it for months, telling media that "that's the fight we want to make this year," and that he was super confident Jones versus Aspinall would happen in 2025. When John Jones eventually announced his retirement, Dana immediately elevated Aspinall to undisputed champion and spoke highly of him, saying Aspinall had been incredible through this whole process and was willing to fight anywhere at any time, suggesting he believed Aspinall's career and potential deserved that level of spotlight. After the backlash to his initial remarks, including the way he described Aspinall's injury and phrased that Tom didn't want to continue in the fight, Dana White publicly tried to diffuse the growing tension and reframe what he meant. At a post-event press conference, White acknowledged that he didn't even fully recall exactly what he had said, and emphasized that he wasn't saying anything negative towards him or in a derogatory way. He clarified that his "eyes are good" comment was based on what he had heard at the time, rather than a medical judgment, underlining, "I'm no doctor, I'm just saying what I've heard." White also stressed that there were people checking on Aspinall's health and ensuring he was looked after, and that he was confident the champion would heal and return to competition. At the end of the day, no amount of replay angles, commentary, or post-fight speculation can outweigh the reality that only Tom Aspinall could truly determine how bad the eye injury was in that moment. Vision isn't something an official, promoter, or fan can accurately judge. From the outside, it's an internal, immediate experience, and when it's compromised, continuing can mean permanent damage. Aspinall was the one inside the cage dealing with blurred vision, depth issues, and pain. And in a sport where sight is non-negotiable, that perspective matters most. Francis Ngannou, the former UFC heavyweight champion, publicly supported Tom Aspinall following the eye poke incident in Aspinall's title defense against Cyril Gane. Ngannou called the foul definitely serious, saying it compromised Aspinall's vision, an injury that's not like taking a body shot or some other painful strike, but one that affects one's ability to actually see. He went on to defend Aspinall's decision to stop the fight, arguing that had Aspinall continued despite the impaired vision, the criticism would have likely been harsher if he lost. According to Ngannou, many of the negative reactions from fans stemmed from frustration over the lack of a definitive finish, but he emphasized that the risk of fighting with compromised vision isn't trivial. It's a serious safety issue.